Are you able to see that screen now, Joe?
I am.
Okay, perfect.
Hello, everybody who's joining. We will start right at about 4:31, just so that we give everybody a chance to log in. All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Joe Tort. I'm Associate Director for Professional Practice in the Office of Professional Practice. Welcome to the second of 3 webinars that our office and ZF are putting together to help prepare students for fall recruitment events. Today's topic is Keys to Success at Career Fairs. For those of you who don't know, the Office of Professional Practice is located in Potter Hall, on Purdue's campus. Our office is facilitating the campus-wide cooperative education program. Co-op is an opportunity for students to have multiple work experiences with companies, anywhere between 3 and 5 different work sessions. It allows students to gain the most professional experience of any program on campus. Overall, students will gain anywhere between 12 and 20 months of professional experience, as well as have the opportunity to earn somewhere between $50,000 and $80,000 by working from their co-op companies. Additionally, our office facilitates the GEAR program, which is our global engineering training program, where students can earn a global engineering minor through study of a foreign language, study abroad for a semester, and work both domestically and internationally with global companies. ZF is a partner of the Office of Professional Practice, hiring many students for co-op opportunities, as well as GEAR programs, having placed students in Germany and hopefully in other locations in the near future. ZF also has operations here in Lafayette, but the company itself is based in Germany. So today's topic, Keys to Success at Career Fairs. Introduce our speaker, Mackenzie Ryan from ZF, and we'll kind of get going.
Thank you so much, Joe, and welcome everyone. I'm very happy to be here today. For this webinar, I wanted to give just a brief introduction of who I am and what I do for the company. And then I want to tell everybody a little bit more about ZF or ZF. I'll tell you right there, I know sometimes it can be confusing. You'll hear people refer to the company in both ways. Both ways are correct. Just as a German-owned company, you'll hear ZF probably more outside of the US, and then you'll hear ZF a little bit more here in the US, but either pronunciation is completely correct. And then I just wanted to go over, the purpose of a career fair, how to prepare for a career fair, how best to engage with recruiters and industry professionals at a career fair, the importance of co-ops and internships, kind of like what Joe already touched on, and extracurricular activities, whether at Purdue or within the community. And then how to reinforce your connection and the interest that you've expressed to recruiters or to industry professionals at a career fair. And then at the end, we will have a question and answer session. During the presentation, though, if you do have a question that's pretty relevant to something I've just talked about, you're more than welcome to type that into the chat box, and then Joe can let me know and we can address it right then and there. Or if you'd like to wait, just keep in mind we will, at the very end, have a question and answer session. So as a brief introduction, I am a global recruiting specialist for ZF. And so I work in Livonia, Michigan. I am part of what's called a global recruiting center for the company. So because we are such a large company and we have locations all around the world, we've created global recruiting centers for various regions. And each center has a group of recruiters that is responsible for filling the open positions that are at the ZF locations in that region. So since I've started with ZF, my primary focus areas have been for filling positions within our active safety systems division. So I've dealt specifically with our braking product line, and I filled positions at our plant in Fayette, Ohio. Where I have spent the most of my time is actually filling positions for our commercial vehicle technology division, which just happens to be headquartered in North America in Lafayette. And so over in Lafayette, we do have a full manufacturing plant and an engineering center. So I do fill a variety of engineering related roles, sales related roles over at that location in Lafayette. And then I've also started to fill more IT related positions for the company as well. So I've had an opportunity to get to know a lot more ZF locations throughout the US. Just to give a little background about who we are and what we do, we are considered a tier 1 automotive supplier. So we supply vehicle components, vehicle systems to OEMs or original equipment manufacturers. So here in the United States, even particularly in the Metro Detroit area here in Michigan, we refer to the big three, which would be Ford, GM, and Chrysler. Those are three, big OEMs and customers of ZF. And our overall strategy or mission statement, so to speak, is to provide clean and safe mobility, that is automated, comfortable, and affordable for everyone, everywhere. So you can see just with this infographic, we have a worldwide presence. We have different, pretty much 3 different types of locations, either production locations or, manufacturing plants, development locations, or in other words, R&D technical centers, or, sales and service locations. So based on our 2019 figures, we had 241 locations in 41 countries. So again, very big company, big worldwide presence. 161 of those locations were actually production locations across 27 countries. And then 16 of those were specifically, our main development technical center locations. And then about 130 locations were the service locations. And just to get an idea too, in terms of employees, we had close to 35,000 employees in North America alone. Definitely the largest amount of employees does come from Europe. So we had almost 90,000 employees just in Europe at the end of 2019. So as I mentioned previously, we do break up our recruiting into recruiting regions. So I am part of what's called our Global Recruiting Center Americas, and we are, again, based in Livonia, Michigan. So that picture is actually outside of the building that I work in. And my team, there's about 10 recruiters, and we are responsible for filling positions for our locations in North America and South America. But again, if you're ever interested in applying for, an opportunity outside of the country, when you apply through our portal online, then your resume and application would go to the responsible global recruiting center for that region. And one thing I wanted to point out too, is a tier 1 automotive supplier, most people know us for supplying systems and components for passenger vehicles. But what a lot of people don't know is that we also provide these things for commercial vehicles or public transportation vehicles, as well as industrial applications. So again, what's kind of unique to Lafayette is that our commercial vehicle division is actually headquartered in Lafayette. So we do have a lot going on at that location, both at the engineering center and at the plant right next door. And then we also have a strong aftermarket business as well within the company. So again, just something to keep in mind that we do go beyond the passenger vehicle market. Right now, too, a lot of our focus, we've kind of divided it into 4 technology domains. So our focuses are on vehicle motion control, integrated safety, automated driving, and electric mobility. And then within each of those 4 areas, you can kind of see the breakdown of the various systems and components that we manufacture. Anything from occupant safety systems to chassis components, to steering systems, to transmission systems or electronic systems. So this infographic is just a nice overview, again, of all of the various systems and components that we are responsible for manufacturing and giving to our customers. That kind of just sums up the overview of ZF or ZF. The next couple slides, I wanted to kind of dive in deeper into, the purpose of a career fair and how to go about preparing for one. So, the overall purpose is to network with recruiters and industry professionals from companies across a variety of industries to gain knowledge and resources to assist in making career decisions. So, attending a career fair can help you find out information about internships, you can learn about co-ops, and you can even find out information about full-time positions. Right now, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, most career fairs are being held virtually, and oftentimes these will be held with a video chat capability. So just to keep updated on all of the various career fairs that are being offered specifically at Purdue, I would definitely recommend checking out your Center for Career Opportunities website. There you can see all of the career fairs that are scheduled for the semester. You can see how they're being offered. Again, most will be virtual, so then you can learn about, again, how you can be involved in those. So I definitely recommend checking out the website. And then the next couple of slides, I do break it up. Traditionally in years past, when I would be talking about career fairs, I'm referring to an in-person event that you're attending where you're meeting somebody face to face. Again, right now, we are having to change things up a little bit during the pandemic. So again, a lot of what you're going to be experiencing is going to be happening virtually. So I'm going to kind of be talking to you a little bit about what to do in person and then what to do virtually. So first things first, for a career fair, make sure that you register. Most career fairs, that is going to be a requirement that you register. One thing to keep in mind now for virtual career fairs is that sometimes, in addition to registering, you may also have to sign up for a time slot to speak with a recruiter or an employee from that company. So again, that's where I would suggest, checking out the CCO website, looking at the career fair, seeing how it's being set up, where you need to register, what you need to do, because it's just not, a virtual fair may not be as free flowing as a typical career fair would be, where you can kind of just stop by whatever company that you'd like to. For a lot of these virtual events, you may have to register ahead of time or reserve a time slot ahead of time to speak with somebody. The next thing that you're going to want to do is, definitely look at the roster, see who are the companies that are going to be attending, and take the time to research those companies that interest you the most. You want to be prepared when a recruiter or an employee asks you, what do you know about us? And it's okay if you don't know a lot, but it definitely goes a long way if you're able to, respond to that question. The more that you know about that company, or even just the industry that company is in, the more intentional your conversation and engagement will be with that recruiter or will be with that industry professional. When researching a company, probably the most logical place and the first place people go to is that company's website, which I highly recommend. But another tip I like to share with students or entry-level candidates is check out that company's social media presence as well. Are they on LinkedIn? Are they on Instagram? Are they on Facebook? Do they have a YouTube channel? For example, at ZF, we do have a YouTube channel, so that's always a great way. We have a lot of videos that we post, we kind of have, one of our videos is actually our own version of an elevator pitch, where we kind of let you know within a minute who we are and what we do. So that's definitely something I would recommend doing. And then after you check out the social media presence, don't forget to actually follow these companies on social media, just so you can continue to stay informed about current events that they're posting about. Another thing that I'd highly recommend too is to find out if the company is hosting any information sessions on campus or virtually. Again, everything right now is going to be virtual. So with, go ahead and check out the CCA website at Purdue, look to see what companies might be hosting information sessions and sign up for those. Again, they're going to be held virtually, but most companies will also be taking attendance and looking to see who's actually coming to these events. So that's another way to kind of get your name out there and create a presence for yourself in front of that company. Actually, the picture that's included on this slide, this was ZF did an information session last year during one of the career events at Purdue, and it was really nice. Again, just a great way for students to get up close and personal with one of our engineering managers, kind of get a snapshot of what we do, why we do what we do, and then there was a nice question and answer session at the end as well. So that's just another great research opportunity for you. The other thing that you really want to make sure you have done before you're attending a career fair is make sure that you have a resume ready, that effectively summarizes your education, your experience, and your skills thus far. So for a virtual fair, I would definitely have a PDF copy of your resume, ready, some kind of electronic copy that you can upload when asked. For an in-person fair, we always recommend printing your resume on professional resume paper. And storing plenty of copies in a folder or a Padfolio if you have one, and being ready to share those directly with the person that you're engaging with at the career event. Again, because everything's going to kind of be virtual for a while, do be prepared to have that electronic copy ready to go if you're asked for it. Another thing I wanted to touch on is, how to dress, how to present yourself at a career fair. Whether this is in person or virtual, it's really important that you dress yourself professionally. So whether you're, choosing a suit, a blouse and a skirt, a blouse and a professional pair of slacks, whatever it may be, just be mindful of, the appropriate length and fit of the sleeves, pant legs, and skirts. This again won't be as noticeable if you are doing a virtual meeting with somebody, but just be mindful of that for the times that you are going to be engaging face-to-face with somebody. Choose colors and patterns that represent you, but are also appropriate for the industry. And again, anytime you're going to be at an in-person fair, always recommend wearing comfortable dress shoes, just because you're going to be walking around a lot. In terms of hair, you can wear your hair in a variety of lengths, styles, and colors. Just be mindful of the grooming and the cleanliness. And, in terms of presenting yourself professionally, things to just keep in mind, don't chew gum while you're speaking to a recruiter or an industry professional. If you're going to be chewing in between, talking to people, that's fine, but just make sure that when you are in a conversation with somebody that you're not chewing gum. And most often when you're attending a career fair event, when you go up to a company's table, you'll probably notice that there's a line of students waiting to talk to that recruiter or that employee. And so, proper etiquette that you would just take a spot in that line and wait until it was your turn. Well, this actually might carry over for a lot of the virtual fairs as well. When you go ahead and sign in virtually through the meeting place, you may have to wait kind of in a virtual line. So anytime you are waiting, we can really maximize that time. That could be time that you're using to practice your elevator pitch. What are you going to say to the recruiter or the employee once you get up there? Or maybe that's time that you could be quickly doing some additional research about the company. Although we recommend, before you go to a career fair, it's important to kind of have a list already in your mind of who are the companies that are of interest to you. But oftentimes what can happen at an in-person fair is maybe as you're walking around, you're seeing some companies that you didn't have a chance to research or didn't even maybe know that they were going to be there, but they look like they would be of interest to you. So, you could definitely hop in line, do some quick research and go engage with somebody. And even if you don't have the chance to research, you can just make that known to the person that you've come over there because you want to know more about the company, know more about what they do, and the opportunities they have available. So again, always maximize that time. Again, the one caveat with the virtual career fairs, again, these may not always be as free flowing as an in-person. So for some virtual career fairs, you may have the opportunity where you can kind of bounce around to talk to different people, or they may be set up where, again, you do have a reserved time slot. So it's kind of just going to depend on the event that you're attending. What's really important for a career fair is how you are going to convey your background, your skills, your experience to a recruiter or an employee of that company of interest. So we often say, make sure you have an elevator pitch ready. So essentially what that is a speech that can be anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute, where you're effectively highlighting your background, your experience, and your skills. It's called the elevator pitch because it's essentially the time that it takes for you to say that speech is pretty much the time it would take in a normal elevator ride. So what do you want to, what's the content? What should be part of this elevator pitch? You know, we want to know who you are. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us what you're interested in. You know, tell us what maybe some of your short-term goals are. You know, you have to keep in mind as you're thinking about this elevator pitch, you know, what are you hoping to gain by speaking with somebody from this company? You know, what are you looking for? Are you looking for an internship? Are you interested in a co-op? Are you maybe looking for a full-time position? You know, keeping those things in mind, then how could you be an asset for this particular company? So these are all questions you kind of want to be thinking about as you are creating this elevator pitch. And it's okay, you might have multiple versions of that pitch, you know, for various opportunities. So you just want to make sure that you're comfortable with all of them. So to get comfortable, that just requires practice, whether you're speaking in front of a mirror, whether you're FaceTiming with a friend, maybe you have a couple friends right in front of you, you can do it face-to-face. The more that you practice, the more comfortable you will and more eloquent you'll be when you're talking to somebody. So we definitely recommend when you do get in front of somebody, whether it's in person or virtually, make sure that you're able to speak confidently and clearly. Maintain eye contact. I know this can be a little bit tougher virtually. We kind of always recommend, you know, stare at the camera, the webcam, because that'll essentially make it look like you're looking directly into the eyes of the person at the other end. You know, be mindful of your pace as well. I have a tendency to be a fast talker sometimes, so kind of just be mindful and self-aware and make sure that you're not talking too quickly. And then just remain professional throughout the conversation, whoever you're talking to from that company. When it comes time to engage with the recruiter, the industry professional at a career fair, there's a couple key points that I wanted to bring up. So first, when you get to a career fair, you know, virtually, how you're going to do that kind of just depends on the career fair and the platform that's been set up. So that's really important that you're checking out the CCO website or the company, whoever is leading that career fair, to find out, you know, how you have to register, how you have to log in to get into that virtual meeting place. So you just want to make sure that you know ahead of time. For a virtual career fair, things to keep in mind. Most of these virtual career fairs, as I mentioned, will have a video chat capability. So make sure that you test your equipment beforehand. You know, make sure whether you're using a laptop, whether you're using a desktop computer, you know, test the audio, test the webcam, close any programs or applications on your computer that could potentially slow down the interview or slow down your conversation. Make sure you have an appropriate backdrop and that anything that is in the camera's view is clean and organized. Make sure to sit in a quiet area if you can. Any kind of area where you're going to have limited distractions will be best. And make sure that you're maintaining good posture. You know, you're looking directly into the camera, you're smiling. Again, sometimes things can get lost in translation, you know, when you're speaking virtually. So you just want to be very mindful of all those things when you are interacting with somebody. Now, in person, when you're going to an in-person career fair, it's a little bit easier. You can go up to one of the organizers and perhaps they're giving out maps where you can kind of see where all the companies are located. Or oftentimes there are apps like the Career Fair Plus app that you could utilize to see who is set up where. Or you could even just do a quick lap around the room to see what companies have come, where they're set up. Again, in a virtual setting, you don't have this free-flowing setup necessarily, but just wanted to include that on there for when we do eventually get to go back to in-person events. And then again, as I kind of touched on in the slide previously, this is your chance to deliver an effective elevator pitch. The recruiter or employee may provide you with a cue. So for example, if you first sign on to this virtual career fair, you may have that urge to kind of just want to dive right into your elevator pitch. I would definitely, when you log in, wait a moment. The recruiter or the, employee may prompt you with a question. What I'm trying to get at is, allow for organic conversation flow. I've had situations in the past where I'm at a career event and a student will approach me and, we'll obviously have our initial greetings, and then I'll go to ask a question, and then the student will just railroad over the question and go straight into the elevator pitch. And I completely understand that. The student's excited. They want to tell me everything about them and their interest in what they're looking for, and I completely respect that. But I would just encourage people before they kind of dive in just to wait and see if that employer, that recruiter asks an initial question, or they prompt you with something, to just make sure you're actively listening before you kind of go into your elevator pitch. Again, just want to make sure you're avoiding talking over anybody. So that's where, again, and you just want to make sure that you're really actively listening throughout the entire conversation as well. Another thing too is, make sure you ask, relevant questions, whether they're about the company culture, maybe you want to know a little bit more about the products that company manufactures, or the locations. For a big company like ZF, I get those questions a lot, like where are you located? Do you have opportunities for me outside of the US? Whatever that may be. This is also your opportunity to ask questions. If you're interested in an internship or co-op, you could ask about their internship program, their co-op program. How is it structured? What would you be exposed to? What would you be able to do? This is your time to gather all of this advice and insight, and this ultimately will help you make a career decision. This will help you decide, would this be a co-op that I would be interested in? Is this an internship I want to go after? Do they have the kind of full-time opportunities that I would really want to apply for, when it's time for me to graduate? So you can kind of flush all of that out during this conversation. And before you go, before you sign off or before you say goodbye to somebody, go ahead and ask if they have a business card that they could share with you. If they don't have a business card, perhaps they have an email address, or you can always ask if you can connect with them over LinkedIn. For example, I do get that question a lot. Do I have a business card? I actually don't have a business card, but I do have my LinkedIn, so that I always, will encourage, please, connect with me on LinkedIn, send me a message over LinkedIn. But again, a lot of employers will have business cards that they'll be able to give you as well. One thing that I wanted to touch on as well is the career fair experience can be very different for a first-year student as compared to a student that is nearing graduation time. So in this next example, I'm going to cover specifically an engineering skill set, but what I'm about to say can pretty much apply to any skill set. But for a first-year engineering student who's looking for an internship or a co-op opportunity, what companies are looking for are students who have gotten involved with extracurricular activities. So at Purdue, that could mean, Formula, SAE, Grand Prix, Epics. What oftentimes will happen though for an entry-level student, a first-year engineering student, they may not have had the time to get involved with these activities on campus or within the community. So that's where these students, you need to just be prepared to talk about what you have done in the past that is related to engineering. Whether in your spare time you like tinkering with cars, or maybe in high school you were part of your first robotics team. These are experiences that I would want to hear about as a recruiter. Also be prepared to answer this question. tell us what you'd like to do or what you're planning to do at Purdue that is engineering related. I talked to a lot of first-year engineering students, and I completely understand they might not know yet what they really want to do, but maybe they can at least tell me what they're interested in, or perhaps there's a group that they just heard about on campus that they would really like to join. This is all very helpful to me as a recruiter, because I'm kind of getting to see the wheels turning in that student's mind and getting to see how where their interests are what directions those interests are starting to take them. So that can be really all valuable information that you can share. Now, for somebody that is close to graduating, if they're attending a career fair event, they may be looking more for full-time positions. So companies, are definitely going to be looking at these students to see, have they been involved in any type of internships or co-ops while at Purdue. So this is, as a student, it's really important that you're prepared to talk about your experiences, your internship co-op experiences, and then how those experiences have actually shaped your interests and impacted, your career goals. Then to take it a step farther, then you can tell the company, how your interests and your career goals actually align with them or their open position or their industry. So that's probably the number one thing. If I have a student approaching me who is close to graduating, they're looking for a full-time opportunity, I'm really interested to see their relevant professional experience. Now, in addition to that, I'm also, again, going to be looking at, well, how else did they spend their time while at Purdue? Were they part of any extracurricular activities? So again, extracurriculars, always very important, because it's just showing us that you've taken the time to assess what it is that you like and what it is that you don't like. And that kind of leads into my next slide, which again is just a plug for the importance of co-ops and internships and extracurricular activities. This is the chance for you to really, again, figure out what it is that you like, or at the very least, what it is that you don't like. So, you may not even know as a freshman what type of engineering that you want to focus on. Being part of an internship or a co-op could really help you, determine what your focus should be. Maybe you don't even know the type of environment you'd like to work in. Would you see yourself working in a production plant, in a fast-paced production plant, or do you see yourself working more in like a corporate technical center engineering type environment? Again, you can kind of really feel out the type of environment that you enjoy working in the most. Another question I always like to ask students are, do you enjoy working in teams, or do you prefer working on your own? And for the first year students, they may not, again, really know quite yet what they prefer. But students that, again, are closer to graduating, they're usually able to give me really good examples of why they do like working in teams or why they don't, because they've had a lot of class projects, or they've been part of extracurricular groups or teams, or they've been part of co-ops or internships where they've been exposed to a lot of team work environments. So then they're able to really give me a lot of concrete examples. One thing that I want to preface too is, I also understand that some students may not have the opportunity to engage in a co-op rotation or an internship. So when it comes time to graduating, they may not know still what it is that they really want to focus on or what direction they want to move in. And, that is okay. What I will say is that you just have to be prepared at that point when it comes time to applying for full-time positions, that you're likely going to be competing with graduates who do have a better understanding at that time where their interests lie. And they will have that relevant experience that ultimately help to guide them in that direction. So again, that's why I do really feel it is so important, whether a co-op or an internship or an extracurricular, to really, get involved and see, what your interests are, what you like, what you don't like, because that will greatly help you when you're determining your short-term career goals and the type of company that you want to work for and the type of position that you want to apply for. One of the last slides here, I just wanted to touch on the importance of reinforcing your connection and your interests after a career fair ends. So Again, whether you've gone to an in-person career fair or you have attended a virtual career fair, it's important that you follow up with that recruiter or that industry professional, within 24 hours of your initial interaction to reinforce your connection that you've just made and reinforce your interest in that company or any, positions that you might have talked about with that individual. Oftentimes a career fair opportunity interaction might actually lead to an interview for an internship or for a co-op or even a full-time position. So if you do get a chance to interview, always be sure to send a thank you email within 24 hours afterwards as well. And always be mindful of email etiquette, just to ensure your approach is always professional. You also want to make sure that you follow any steps that the recruiter or the industry professional recommended to you during your interaction. They may have recommended, or they may have, scheduled you for an interview for a co-op or internship. So you want to make sure that you attend that interview and follow through. They may have recommended that you apply for a particular position. For example, if I have a student that approaches me who is close to graduating, we have a great conversation, I may recommend to that student, you know what, I think you could be a fantastic position for this entry-level design engineer position at this location. Here's how to go ahead and apply for it on our website. So I'm definitely going to be looking to see, did that student actually end up applying? So that's your chance to, again, to do that. The recruiter or the industry professional may recommend that you, connect with them on LinkedIn or you check them out on social media. They may recommend, I always recommend for ZF, continually check our website for updates about open positions. We do have so many different locations and, various skill sets that we need at each location. So the website is continually updating. So that's something, bookmark your favorite company websites, continually check to see when they have new openings. A lot of websites, including ours, will let you assign like a job agent. So you'll actually get notifications in email or sent to you via text, letting you know when new positions are posted. So that can also be really important as well. And the last thing I'll point out too is, if you are going to connect with anybody on LinkedIn, really make sure that your own LinkedIn profile is updated as well. So make sure that whatever you have on LinkedIn is relevant to what you've listed on your resume. Make sure too that you do have a professional profile picture on your LinkedIn as well. So just things to keep in mind if you are going to be, again, LinkedIn is a fantastic networking tool, but just make sure, again, that your profile and everything is up to date before you do start connecting with employees, with industry professionals, and with recruiters. So that brings me to the end of the presentation. But I don't know if anybody has any questions at this time. Joe and I would be more than happy to answer those for you.
Please go ahead and use the Q&A or the chat box if you have some questions. Okay. Kenzie, you must have covered things too thoroughly.
Oh, that's great, but but definitely more than happy to answer if there's anything that I didn't cover.
Just a more personal question about being able to connect with you on LinkedIn is one of these.
Yes, please do. I am on LinkedIn. They'll show Mackenzie Ryan. I believe it'll list either Livonia or Detroit will be the location that's listed for me. But yes, anybody that is on the call today, please definitely reach out to me on LinkedIn. Again, keep in mind, if you go to our website today, zf.com/careers, and if you find any opportunities that you're interested in that we may have posted that are here in the US, then those, when you apply to those positions, then you would be directed to the Global Recruiting Center Americas, which would be my team in Livonia. So either myself or one of my recruiting partners would be receiving your application and your resume.
Next question. Do you talk about why you're interested in the company in your elevator pitch, or should it be focused on you?
So I'm trying to think the best way to explain. So I guess at first kind of depends on the flow of the, conversation. If, obviously you want to keep it organic. So, I would say maybe in your elevator pitch, focus a little bit more on you and your experiences. And then normally as a recruiter, then we'll kind of go from there. And then one of my follow-up questions might be, okay, great. What about us? Why is ZF a good fit for you then, based on the interests and experience that you just told me about? So, I mean, you can, but I think I would definitely keep the elevator pitch a little bit more geared towards you specifically, your interests, your experiences. If there is time, then you can quickly relay again how those interests, align with our company and our positions in our industry. But if you don't have time, then I think that'll naturally just come out in the conversation with the person.
Yeah, I would also mention it would be good to do a little research about the company before you go out there, and hopefully what you say about yourself is kind of in line with what the company is interested in.
Mm-hmm.
Next question. I'm a freshman in first year engineering, not sure what major I'm planning on going into. Most of my high school experience was with electrical engineering, but I'm really interested in aerospace. However, I'm also thinking about electrical. How do I explain that to recruiters?
So just being honest, I think is the best policy, because we completely understand that as a freshman, you may not know yet what you want to do, and that's really common. For first year engineering students, I hear that all the time. I don't know if I want to do mechanical, electrical. I don't know what I do yet. And that's when I recommend, hey, really looking into an internship opportunity or a co-op opportunity that could maybe help you figure out, which area you would like to focus on. So again, maybe if you don't want to commit to a full co-op opportunity, then maybe just look at an internship opportunity in both of those areas, kind of flesh that out. But we do not expect you to know first year which area you want to go into. At that time, then when you're engaging with that company employer, that recruiter, that would be, I guess, your time to really gain as much information about that company and their positions and like what they do as possible, to kind of help you determine, would this be a company that I would be interested in doing an internship with or a co-op with? So I guess I would just use that time to try to get as much information and even advice from that person. What would they recommend? And kind of, obviously it's going to be your choice ultimately, but I would definitely just maximize that time to learn everything you can about that particular company and what they offer, and see if they have any internships or co-ops available. And then I would recommend maybe looking into one of those just to help you kind of assess where your interests really, really do lie.
Yeah, and I'm guessing maybe if you have an interest in both aerospace and electrical, maybe then you're interested in things in the aerospace sector. It might be good to have that conversation to kind of learn a little bit more about what do electrical engineers do in your company versus what do aerospace engineers, and maybe that gives you some idea as well as to what to focus in on. What do employers, recruiters expect you to know about their company? Sometimes I'm hesitant to ask them questions because I think they may expect me to know it from researching the company.
So usually I would say at least know what industry the company is in. I would say that's pretty important. I as a recruiter, I really, at least for me personally, I don't expect you to know a ton about the company. But definitely, that we're like, for example, the industry that we are automotive. I think I definitely had students come up and they had no idea it was even automotive, and then it became evident very quickly that it wasn't a match for what that student was looking for, and that's okay. But I would definitely at least know the industry, I guess, that the company's a part of. And again, I kind of mentioned too, at least for in-person career fairs, this has happened so often where I'll have a student stop by and they'll just be very honest with me. You know what? I don't know much about ZF. I didn't really have a chance to research, but I saw you here. I've looked at some of the promotional items that you have up. I've listened to other students that you've talked to. It sounds really, it's of interest to me for these reasons. Like, could you tell me more? Because oftentimes too, at least the in-person career events, the companies will have tables set up, they'll have pamphlets, they'll have posters, they'll have cards, they'll have banners set up with infographics where you can kind of get a quick snapshot of who that company is and what they do. I know it's a little tough on the virtual with the virtual aspect now, because I guess I don't know how that's going to look for companies, because they're not going to really be able to advertise maybe in the same way that they would in person. But that's also another, I guess, trick, when you're at an in-person career fair, is to kind of really utilize the advertising, the marketing that's around you, because you can learn pretty quickly, what that company does. But as long as you're kind of just honest and say, I haven't had a chance, but it looks like you're in automotive. I'm actually really interested in automotive for these reasons. I'm specifically interested in this. Do you do that here? If so, could you tell me a little bit more about it? And then you could kind of gauge the conversation that way.
Mm-hmm. Next question is it okay to have multiple versions of resume? What would differ between different versions, and how would I know what to prioritize on the different versions?
Yeah, so you want to have different versions of your resume. Each version is you want to make sure it's catered to our particular position or company or industry that you're targeting. So for example, if you are a freshman engineering student, you're going to a career fair because you want to get an internship or a co-op. On your resume, at the top of the resume, you could include an objective if you wanted to, and in that case it would be really helpful for you to list out in the objective that you are seeking, an internship or a co-op opportunity starting in summer 2021, in mechanical engineering or whatever it may be. And then obviously you always want to make sure after objective that then you would include your education. So you're letting us know if you've decided on a discipline, whether that's mechanical, electro, whatever engineering is, let us know your expected graduation date. For students that are looking for co-ops and internships, beware, or just know that you're going to have to put your GPA on your resume for most companies, because they're going to have a GPA requirement. So for example, at ZF, we do require a minimum 3.0 GPA for entrance into our co-op and internship program. And then beyond education, you could list a skills section, where you're listing your hard and soft skills, or that could come later in the resume. How you organize the resume beyond the education is kind of up to you, and it kind of just depends on what the resume is for. Is it for a particular co-op or internship position? Is this for a particular full-time position? Is this just for, generally a company within the automotive industry? You just want to make sure that you are catering the resume to whatever, I guess, the end goal is for you. So for example, if it is for, if you're close to graduating and you are looking for an entry-level mechanical engineering position, how I would structure the resume, again, at the top, obviously education, if you want to have that skills section, but then your relevant professional experience, I'm going to want to see at the top of the resume, the top 2/3 of your resume, where you're talking about any co-op or internship that you have been a part of. And then how you want to break it down beyond that, any relevant project work, any relevant extracurricular activities that have the skills and experience that this position or company is calling for. You just want to make sure that is at the top 2/3 of your resume.
Okay, another question says, as a first-year engineer and being in college for only weeks, what should we put as GPA in a resume? Right now I have NA on there and included my high school GPA. So I think that is the strategy for this first semester. You'll want to put in sort of that you're a first-year engineer. You probably want to put something about what type of engineering that you're interested in, and then list your high school degree and the high school GPA. After this semester, you want to get rid of the high school degree. It won't be relevant anymore.
Exactly.
And this final question I have here, if I connected with a recruiter on LinkedIn, should I ask a question or send comment through LinkedIn chat or through email?
Yeah, so you can definitely, reach out and just ask a question. Oftentimes I'll have students reach out to me, where they'll just ask a basic question. I saw this opening, could you provide more information about it? Or do you know who I could reach out to that could provide more information? Or I'll have students just send me the resume. If you do have any opportunities that you think I could be a good fit for, please let me know. So I guess whatever it is that you're looking to gain from that recruiter, that person you're reaching out to, I mean, you can just, say that in the message. But that's probably most often the messages that I will get are just inquiring about a particular position that person saw on our website, or just sharing their resume, saying, again, this is my skills and experience. This is the type of roles I'm looking for. If you think I could be a fit anywhere in the company, please let me know. But I do feel like it is, the more detailed and specific you can be, it's going to be easier for me as the recruiter. So I have a much easier time when somebody reaches out to me and they either specify a specific position that they've come across, or they're very detailed in what it is that they're looking for, because then I'm able to assess quickly, do we have any openings that kind of align with the interests and the goals that this person just listed. So for those people that do reach out to me and just include their resume and say, hey, if I could be a fit for anything, that's not, I'm not really understanding what it is that person's really looking for at the end of the day. So is the more detailed and, again, clear that you can be in your message, it would be the better. So pretty much like an objective would be on your resume. You want to be very detailed, short, concise, what it is exactly you're looking for, how you have the skills and experience that back that up. I would just make sure that that's part of the message to the recruiter as well.
And then finally, if my GPA is lower than the requirement, how can I convince a recruiter to still consider me as a candidate?
So that's where it can be very helpful when you do have an opportunity to talk to somebody, whether virtually or in person, and you can, kind of, explain to them so I guess let me give an example. I've had students in the past that have approached me, and they've been very honest, and they've let me know that their GPA isn't quite there. They've kind of explained what happened, or what they've learned from what's happened to them, how that GPA got so low. And then what I like to hear is just, what are they doing? What do they have planned to get the GPA back up? And that can be, that obviously shows us a lot. It shows that this person is working hard. He wants to get their GPA back up, wants to get involved in a co-op or internship opportunity. Oftentimes what can happen too is, if you are interested in a particular internship or co-op opportunity, it may not be offered for another semester or so. So you may actually also have the time to get your GPA up. But yeah, I would still say, definitely, even if you're not at a 3.0, it's, definitely still go out for a co-op or internship, still talk to recruiters, still talk to the employer, let them know that you're interested. And be able to explain again, what you are doing, how you're working to get your GPA back up.
Mm-hmm. Well, good. So it looks like that is all the questions we have for now. If you're still on and you want to ask another question, we'll stay here for another minute or so. If we don't get any questions, then I think we'll end. Okay, well, I think then we will conclude for the day. Thank you for attending. Next week, same time, 4:30 on Tuesday, we'll have another webinar on interview skills.
Great. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for attending. Joe will make this presentation and the recording available for everybody to access. And yeah, definitely please join us next week. My partner, Rashna, who is part of the Global Recruiting Center, she will be leading a webinar on interviewing. So that will be very helpful as well. Are there any other questions, Joe?
I think that was it.
Okay, I will go ahead and close this out. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. And I can send you, because I did add 2 more slides from what I sent to you right before the presentation. So I'll remake that PDF and I can send that over to you right now as well.
Sounds great.
And then next week, Rashna will be leading the interviewing webinar. And so I've told her, or you're also welcome to reach out to her, but I have let her know that what we've been doing is usually meeting at least a day before or several hours before, just to kind of go over the presentation and any last minute questions or anything content that we could get included in the webinar. So she may reach out to you sooner, or you're welcome to just reach out to her and plan a time to meet. And then I will be back to lead, and I may still be able to join her. I have to double check my schedule, but if I can't join, it'll for sure be Rashna leading the full webinar, and then I will be back to lead the one in October specifically for your class.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks, Joe. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks.
We'll talk soon. Thank you.
Bye.